When your dog walks away from a full bowl the moment you leave the room, or stands beside it waiting, refusing to take a single bite until you come back, do you know what is actually happening? Most owners think it is stubbornness, a bad habit. Maybe the food went cold, or maybe they just want an audience. But what your dog is doing in that moment has nothing to do with the food, and nothing to do with hunger. It is one of the most direct and measurable expressions of attachment that behavioral scientists have ever documented in a domestic animal, and it is happening in your home, quietly, every single day. Your dog is not waiting for permission to eat. They are waiting for something far more specific than that. There are 6 things your dog is telling you every time they refuse that bowl. And the last one, the one researchers only confirmed after years of controlled attachment studies, is the one that will change the way you see every meal you have ever shared with them. 1. Your dog's appetite and your presence are neurologically linked. When your dog refuses to eat without you, the first thing most people reach for is a behavioral explanation. They think it is a quirk, a trained habit, or simply a preference. But what is actually happening operates several layers deeper than behavior. It starts in the chemistry of your dog's body. When your dog is separated from you, even briefly, even just across a hallway, their stress hormone levels begin to change. Researchers measuring cortisol in dogs during owner absence found that levels start rising within minutes of separation. And cortisol, the same hormone that rises in humans during periods of high anxiety, does something very specific to appetite. It suppresses it. The body reads the elevated cortisol signal as a threat state. And in a threat state, eating is not a priority. Survival is. This is not your dog being dramatic. This is ancient biology. A cortisol-elevated dog is not in a state where the body sends the safe-to-eat signal, and so they wait. They stand at the bowl. They look toward the door you disappeared through, and they hold off because somewhere beneath everything we have trained into them, their nervous system is still waiting for the signal that it is safe to settle. That signal, it turns out, is you. Researchers found that the mere physical presence of a bonded owner is enough to bring cortisol levels back down in a stressed dog. Not the presence of any human, not a familiar voice on a recording, though that helps. You, in the room, close enough to sense. When you are there, the threat signal quiets, and the bowl becomes something worth approaching. 2. Your dog classified you as their secure base, and that changes everything. In the 1960s, a developmental psychologist named Mary Ainsworth designed an experiment that changed how we understand human attachment forever. She placed infants in an unfamiliar room, allowed them to explore, then had their mother leave and return. When the mother was present, the child explored freely, engaged with toys, interacted with strangers. When the mother left, exploration stopped. The child became distressed, disengaged, unable to settle. When the mother returned, the child regulated almost immediately and returned to normal. Decades later, researchers decided to run the same experiment on dogs. The results were not just similar, they were almost identical. A team led by Josef Topal at the Hungarian Academy of Sciences adapted Ainsworth's strange situation test for dogs and their owners. What they found was that dogs use their bonded owner in precisely the same way a human infant uses their primary caregiver. As a secure base. When the owner is present, the dog explores, engages, and functions normally. When the owner leaves, exploratory behavior collapses. The dog becomes vigilant, unsettled, and unable to return to baseline until the owner comes back. Eating is a baseline behavior. It is what an animal does when they feel safe enough to be vulnerable. And eating requires a specific kind of physiological calm that your dog, it turns out, can only fully access when their secure base is in the room. So when your dog stands at their bowl and refuses to eat until you return, they are not performing. They are not manipulating you. They are doing exactly what the science predicts a securely attached animal will do when their anchor is missing. They are waiting for you to make the world feel safe enough to eat in. 3, eating is a social act for your dog, not just a survival one. There is a term in behavioral science called social facilitation. It describes something researchers have documented across dozens of species. Animals eat more, eat faster, and eat more willingly in the company of others they trust. In humans, you eat more at a dinner table with people you love than alone. In primates, lower-ranking animals wait to eat alongside trusted members of their group before they feel safe enough to begin. In wolves, the pack eats together, not because they have to share, because the shared meal is itself a signal. Safety, belonging, trust. Dogs carry that wiring. In over 15,000 years of living inside human homes, they transferred it directly onto us. Researchers studying dog feeding behavior found that dogs consumed significantly more food when a familiar human was present during the meal compared to eating alone. The food was identical. The bowl was identical. The room was identical. The only variable was a person they knew and trusted standing nearby. And that variable alone was enough to change how much they ate and how quickly they settled. Your dog is not waiting for you to watch them eat. They're waiting for the meal to mean what meals are supposed to mean. In the language their biology still speaks, eating together is not incidental. It is the signal that the group is intact, that the environment is safe, and that the most vulnerable, heads down, guard drop moment of the day can actually begin. When you leave the room, you take that signal with you, and the bowl stays full. 4. Your scent is doing something inside their brain that the food alone cannot. By now, you may be thinking it is still just habit, conditioning. They learned that you come back, so they wait. But there is something happening inside your dog's brain during that wait that goes well beyond learned behavior, and it involves one of the most precise pieces of sensory biology in the natural world. The Emory University study conducted by researcher Gregory Burns and his team placed dogs inside functioning MRI machines and presented them with a series of scents, their own scent, the scent of a familiar dog, the scent of a stranger, and the scent of their owner. Researchers then measured which scent triggered activation in the caudate nucleus, the region of the brain associated with reward, anticipation, and positive emotional experience. Only one scent lit it up consistently and powerfully. Yours, not food, not another dog. You. Your scent activates your dog's reward center in a way that nothing else in their environment reliably does. And when you are in the room, your scent is everywhere. It is in the air, on the furniture, moving toward them as you breathe. Their reward system is quietly, continuously active. Their brain is in a state of low-level positive anticipation simply because you are present. When you leave, that signal fades. The reward activation quiets. And the bowl in front of them is just a bowl. If this is shifting the way you see your dog right now, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. This channel covers what dog behavior actually means, not what we assume it means, because what comes next is one of the most quietly remarkable things researchers have found about what your dog is doing while they sit and wait. 5. Your dog is not waiting passively. Their brain is actively holding on to you. When researchers began tracking what dogs actually do during the hours their owners are away, they expected to find evidence of distress. What they did not expect to find was evidence of something closer to active, directed longing. Studies tracking attention patterns in dogs left alone found that dogs oriented consistently toward owner-associated objects. The owner's chair, the coat by the door, the corner of the room where the owner typically sits. They were not simply waiting. They were holding a mental image of you and returning to it repeatedly throughout the time you were gone. More striking still, research measuring brain activity in sleeping dogs found that during REM sleep, dogs replay emotionally significant daytime experiences. And the experiences that triggered the most sustained neural replay were social ones, experiences involving their bonded human. Your dog is not just waiting for you when you step out of the room. In the deepest sense, the science can currently measure they are actively thinking about you. That bowl in front of them is not simply unappealing. It represents the wrong state to be in right now. Heads down, focused on food, disconnected from the door. Their brain does not want to be in that state. Their brain wants to be pointed toward you, waiting, alert, ready for the moment you return. That is not stubbornness. That is devotion operating at the level of neural architecture. 6. They are not waiting for any person. They are waiting for you specifically. This is the part that matters most. Because everything we have covered, the cortisol suppression, the secure base effect, the reward activation, the social facilitation, all of it could theoretically apply to any familiar human in your dog's life. A family member, a frequent visitor, someone your dog knows and trusts, but it does not. Research examining attachment behaviors of dogs in multi-person households found something that stops most people when they hear it. The behaviors associated with the deepest attachment, the ones involving physiological calming, reward center activation, and secure base seeking, were not distributed evenly across all familiar humans. They were concentrated, directed, specific. Dogs showed measurably stronger attachment responses to their primary bonded human than to anyone else in their life, regardless of how much time they spent with other family members. Your dog does not refuse the bowl because they want company. They do not refuse it because any familiar presence would do. They refuse it because the specific person their nervous system is calibrated to, the specific scent their reward center responds to, the specific face their brain evolved to read, is not in the room. That is you, not the role, not the function, not whoever happens to fill the bowl, you. The specific human being that your dog's biology singled out, over time and through thousands of small moments, as the one their entire system organizes around. And every time they walk away from that full bowl and wait, they are telling you something they have no other way to say. Think about what that actually means. Your dog is not performing attachment. They are not conditioned into it. What the science shows across cortisol measurements and MRI scans and behavioral studies that span decades of research is that your presence does something to your dog's biology that nothing else can replicate. You're not just the person who fills the bowl. You are the reason the meal is safe. You are the signal their nervous system has been waiting for. You are the one presence in their entire world that turns a simple act of eating into something that feels like belonging. So the next time you walk back into the kitchen and watch your dog finally quietly lower their head to the bowl, understand what you are witnessing. You are not watching a dog eat. You are watching an animal that decided, somewhere in the deepest part of their biology, that you are worth waiting for. And they would wait as long as it takes.